Bruce Pearl is taking his shiny things to the Final Four. Giannis and the Bucks are Euro-stepping to the #1 seed, and it seems the Cubs may need their mama bear this season. All that and more coming up on Sports Talk Live right now. All right, and welcome to Sports Talk Live here this afternoon. I'm Hunter Baumgart along with Eric Ellefson and Dee Reed. And we have a lot of things to get to today, including starting with March Madness, guys. We are in the middle of March Madness. We are not in the middle of March. It's early April. We are to the Final Four, but I want to get your thoughts, kind of the biggest surprises of the tournament so far. Eric, what were some of your biggest?
I think it has to be Auburn. I mean, they are a 5 seed, so it's not that big of a surprise, but considering they took down Kansas, North Carolina, and then Kentucky to get to the Final Four, their first Final Four ever, I believe. I know Charles Barkley's probably ecstatic seeing his desk during halftime.
Oh my gosh, it's first off, it hasn't been March Madness this March. It's been March Sadness for me. All right, people. First off, the Badgers were completely embarrassed in the first round. I myself never thought I would see the Badgers embarrassed so badly and bounce in the first round, but I was alive for it, and let me tell you, I'm still recovering.
Were you surprised by that?
It was just so heartbreaking and wrenching because we lost to a 12 seed as a 5. I would have rather have gone to the NIT than even been in the tournament personally, but I mean, that might just be me. Other people might have different feelings. I mean,
Oregon definitely was not a 12 seed. I was definitely surprised they got a 12 seed.
That was too high of a, I don't know.
It was they won the Pac-12.
Yeah.
Right.
Really
so why would they be a 12 seed if
No.
that's the case?
It's just the committee does different things every year, and you never really know how they choose their rankings. They just kind of throw names in a hat, and they're like, all right, here you go. You guys can have a 12 seed. Wisconsin can be a 5. NIT. We should have been in the NIT.
Well, I think it was warranted to be in the tournament. However, I don't think they should have been as high as a 5, but then a 5 I don't think should play as good of a team as Oregon. So I think that whole system was kind of messed up a little bit, especially, and then Marquette had to play Murray State the 5-12, and that didn't really make sense.
No.
So I guess some of the surprises could have came from the selection committee. But yeah, a couple of the big teams, Duke and North Carolina, both done.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a tough one for North Carolina, actually, because, I mean, going into that game, Auburn definitely, you wouldn't have thought Auburn would have taken North Carolina and beaten them by 17 points.
Right.
I mean, it was a close game until Auburn just started raining threes. And, I mean, as a college team, when you're just dropping threes on another college team, a lot of teams aren't really equipped with shooters like that. So, I mean, as soon as you've got, even your big men shooting threes and swishing them, there's nothing really North Carolina could do at all, and they were just picked apart slowly but surely, and it just, I mean, I'm a North Carolina fan after the Badgers, of course, and it, again, just March Sadness, man. March Sadness.
I guess, I'm surprised, Duke didn't lose earlier. UCF and they play at, I think, Virginia Tech. They were, close games. There's kind of a little controversy, I guess, with Taco or he drew, and they didn't get called. And so
all last-second tip-ins that should have been made, but weren't advanced. But I mean, it's going to catch up with you at some point. It is March Madness, and at some point you got to be on top of your game because another team is going to be.
But again, sometimes in March, sometimes it's better to be lucky than good, and survive in advance. It doesn't matter how you win, as long as you win, you move on.
Yeah. So Michigan State beats Duke. In what was a super close game and a really good game of two teams that honestly could have met in the Final Four because that's how good those teams were. Like you said, Duke just barely scraped out a couple of victories there against those two teams, and like you said, Dee, it caught up with them. Now Texas Tech is an interesting team. They have kind of surprised me. I know they won the Big 12 conference in the regular season. However, they lost in the very first round of the Big 12 tournament to West Virginia, the 10 seed. in the Big 12 tournament. So then they go on this huge run and are now in the Final Four. Have you guys been kind of surprised by that?
I mean, God, Texas Tech, of course. Who's not surprised by Texas Tech, you know, pulling out these just incredible feats? But, I mean, again, that's what March is all about. It's about, you know, like you said, I'd rather be, you know, lucky than skilled in some points. And, I mean, you can call Texas Tech whatever you want. I call them a Cinderella story of this tournament. So, I mean, it's been fun to watch them, definitely, because you want to see how far a team like that can really go, especially when they're such an underdog.
Yeah, it was their first Final Four appearance, too.
Okay.
And didn't watch much of the games, but like pleasantly surprised that I don't think I had them. I probably had them in with the Sweet 16. I didn't see this coming, but you know, good for them. And now they just like, you know, prove themselves that we do belong here.
Right. Against a team in Michigan State who just beat Duke. It was one of the obviously the best teams in the nation. Texas Tech was actually 30-6 overall in the regular season, but they're kind of seen as that underdog because they're a 3 seed and they're of course going to play the 2 seed Michigan State. As far as other teams who, Houston had a fantastic season but lost in the Sweet 16 to Kentucky. So they had one of the best records but then lost to Kentucky. Then Kentucky as well. Kentucky lost to Auburn in the Elite Eight. Were you guys surprised by Kentucky going down before the Final Four?
I wasn't, because, I mean, again, it's just Auburn in those threes. They are so hot right now that, I mean, it doesn't matter where they're shooting it from. They're just hitting all these shots. So, I mean, teams are trying to adjust. And, I mean, as soon as a team tries to adjust and does something uncharacteristic of what they've been doing all season, that's how Auburn gets them. And, I mean, they just pick them apart because they're not used to dealing with, you know, such tough shooters who are just, I mean, no matter where you leave them, they're going to knock down shots. So you have to cover every angle. And, I mean, just when you think, you know, you got them, all of a sudden they've got another big guy who hadn't even hit shots all season, swishing them and just draining them on you. So it's, I mean, they just pick you apart when you start to become uncharacteristic.
No, that's no doubt about that. So moving on to the Final Four here, we got obviously, like you said, Auburn's there. They're going to play Virginia, and then you have Texas Tech and Michigan State. We put a poll out on the WMCM Twitter. And well, my Twitter, but it was tweeted by WMCM, which is WMCM_TV. If you follow, please follow us, because it's fantastic content.
Please do.
But the poll got 67% picked Michigan State to win the national championship, 17% had Virginia, and 17% had Texas Tech, and nobody went with Bruce Pearl and the Auburn Tigers. Now, what are you guys looking at for this Final Four? Who do you have moving on? Do you agree with the viewers with that Michigan State's going to take it all?
I do. I have Michigan State beating Auburn. I'm going to ride this Auburn train. Might as well, you know, they've surprised everyone so far. Might as well see it through. Kind of like Wisconsin, like in 2014, kind of made the Final Four, kind of a surprise. But I think this time, you know, they'll actually make it to the national championship, unlike them that year.
Sure.
But, you know, Michigan State, after watching them play Duke, like, I think they've got to be the favorites at this time.
Dee, what do you think?
I honestly see, now, I see Michigan State moving on ahead of Texas Tech. I just don't see Texas Tech as a big opponent for them, really. I see them faltering pretty hard. But I think what's going to be interesting and what will tell if Michigan State's going to win the national championship is going to be the Virginia-Auburn game.
Yeah.
Now, I think that if Auburn can continue to do what they've been doing, which is force teams to be completely uncharacteristic of themselves, I think that they'll pick apart Virginia just like they have other teams, and they'll be in the national championship. Now, if Auburn makes it to the national championship, I truly believe that they have a chance to win the title over Michigan State, and I think that's Michigan State's only big threat right now. Virginia, I don't. Now, if Virginia wins against Auburn, which, I mean, could happen, I see Virginia making it, but at the same time, I just don't see Virginia being able to keep up with Michigan State's offense, and I feel that Michigan State is going to overwhelm them for an easy title.
Well, and here's the thing. You have Auburn and Virginia who play completely different styles of basketball. Yeah. Completely different. You have Auburn, who's fast-paced, shooting a lot of threes, scored 97 points. Virginia beat Oregon by scoring 52. That's mental math. 45 less points, and they still won. So, like, that is just going to be a complete difference once the Final Four hits. But like you guys said, I also see Michigan State winning on that side, and then I see I pick Virginia to win, and I think Virginia's going to win it all. I think it's this year. They lost last year, and I think they've come out.
They almost lost again in the first round.
They almost did lose again in the first round, but I think now they're really well coached by Tony Bennett, and I think this is the year that Virginia can do it. Quickly here, before we head to our first break here, wanted to talk a little bit about the Major League Baseball opening weekend. First weekend of the season. And Eric, I know you're a Cubs fan. How did your Cubbies do this weekend?
Well, it was tough, you know, but that's what they do. They play with your heartstrings, you know. It's never easy. The 1-3 definitely should have swept Texas. I don't know. Some of those calls, and I'll get more into it in my rant, but like there were some balls that should have been called strikes, and then bad stuff happened.
Bad stuff happened.
Bad stuff happened. Yes. Like Darvish and Cole Hamels pitched fine, not the best, but like they definitely kept them in it for a little bit. And then the offense, like we scored like I think 22 runs the first 3 games. We got shut out last night, so it's kind of a little flip from like last year. Like we couldn't score, and that allowed the Brewers to like catch up to us. And now we're scoring like many, but like our pitching is kind of like. All right,
yeah,
more like the
runs.
bullpen, yeah.
Yeah, 30. Yeah, that's true. The starters have been doing okay.
The starters have been doing okay, which I trust the rotation. We have John Lester pitching tomorrow. Big game John Lester, you know, 3-time World Series champion, one of the best playoff pitchers. I trust him. I just want the best highlights. I mean, we had Chris Bryant back, hit a home run on Thursday. Javier Baez, El Mago doing his thing, continuing like last year, runner-up. Which is good to see him like keep going. He had a really rough start to his career. He was like top prospect and just didn't do much until like 2016 when he kind of broke out a little bit. But I mean, Boston's 1-4. I don't see that continuing.
Yeah,
They'll definitely bounce back. Houston's 2-3. They'll bounce back.
The Orioles are 3-1. Some people thought they'd go 0-162.
That's never gonna like happen.
Wow.
I mean, not legitimately.
They lost 100 games last year. It's definitely possible to lose that many, but like, you know, we still got 150 some games left, and it's going to be a grind.
All right, quickly, World Series champion.
Brewers all day, Brew Crew. Let's go, baby.
Eric?
Houston Astros.
All right, and I am agreeing with you, the Houston Astros, but I think the Brewers are going to get there. So I think it's Houston and Brewers.
Who do you think they'll beat?
No, I know, but here's the deal. That's the realistic thing. But I do think the Brewers are going to get to the World Series. I wasn't going to predict it, but that's who we're going to go with, Houston. However, I'm hoping for your prediction, Dee. Speaking of Milwaukee teams, the Milwaukee Bucks are going to, well, they're playing really well right now, and they're probably going to get the #1 seed in the Eastern Conference. We're going to talk about them and the rest of the NBA after taking a look at those adorable Perfect Pets.
Hi, my name is Ellie Mae. Meow. I'm a prim and proper gal. I like to keep myself clean and lounge around.
Hi, I'm Ginger. I'm new to La Crescent. Are those treats? I love treats. Yum, 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 yum. Oh, time for a walk.
Hi, my name is Cupid. What are you doing? I like to play, but sometimes I get tired. Okay, see you later.
To find out more about adoption, contact La Crescent Animal Rescue at 507-895-2066. All right, and welcome back to Sports Talk Live here on WMCM. And we are going to switch now over to the NBA. And the NBA playoffs starting just over 10 days. And the Milwaukee Bucks are going to be right in the thick of things. In fact, they are 1 win away from clinching the #1 spot in the Eastern Conference. They're 58-20. I wanted to start there because obviously we're in Wisconsin. Most of our viewers are interested in these Milwaukee Bucks. Dee, how good is this team? Who can beat them in the East right now? Do you see anybody?
Oh my goodness, I really don't see anybody that is going to take down the Bucks right now. Giannis is in peak performance right now. He's playing the best he's ever played, and he's really propelled the Bucks to having the best record in the NBA.
Yeah.
And that's including the East as well. So I mean, he's been phenomenal all season long. He's been clutch when he needs to be. He shows up when you need him in clutch time. He's been that big time player that the Bucks have needed for so long, and I think after finding Jason Kidd and adding Coach Budenholzer to the mix, it's really the chemistry that those two have has really just propelled the Bucks to new heights that they knew that we could reach all along. But I mean, with Coach Bud there now, we're totally just killing it. Giannis having an MVP season. I'm going to get on a rant about his MVP in a second here. We're going to keep it on moving right now.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned Coach Budenholzer and how much they've improved. I mean, this team is probably going to improve by at least 15 wins from last year, with basically the same roster. I mean, you had a couple guys like Brook Lopez, a couple guys, but other than that, they basically have the same roster, and they went up 15 wins. So they're going to be an exciting team to watch. Like I said, one win away from being the #1 seed. They play Philadelphia on Thursday, which will be a good game, but then they get Brooklyn and Atlanta at home, followed by Oklahoma City. So they should be able to at least win one of those to get the #1 seed. And then who knows? Maybe they'll rest some players after that to get ready for the.
I mean, the Bucks right now are up 3 games in the East, ahead of Toronto. So I mean, 1 win tonight, and we're pretty much set. But at the same time, Thursday, Coach Bud really, and the Bucks as a whole really want to stress that we're not playing for the #1 seed right now. We're playing to win a championship. So I mean, if the #1 seed doesn't come, it is what it is. But our ultimate goal here is an NBA championship.
Right.
So if that means sacrificing the 1 seed, we're okay with that.
Yeah, and I think I think it's pretty clear that most likely they will get the 1 seed, but like you said, the goal is NBA championship and the NBA Finals. And speaking of that, there are a lot of teams that are in the thick of it in both the East and the West. So kind of looking at the NBA standings as a whole here, Eric, who kind of stands out? Who do you think? Is it going to be Golden State again?
I don't see why not. I don't follow much NBA because I just think, in all honesty, it's kind of boring and just we see the Warriors do this every year. I mean, now that there's no LeBron in the East, it definitely opens it up for a little bit more competition. But if LeBron should only beat them once in 4 years, I mean, Giannis is good. He's no LeBron. I'm sorry, but if LeBron can only do it once, and that was when the Warriors got too cocky, they let him come back.
Yeah.
They definitely they should have won that, but they definitely let it get ahead of themselves. I mean, yeah. If you had to pick a team in the East that could possibly stand in the Bucks' way, do you have anyone?
D, who do you think could stand in the Bucks' way?
It could stand in the Bucks' way. I would say it's going to be either Toronto or Boston. I believe just Toronto because Kawhi Leonard has really just changed the shape of that team over there, and he's doing great things with them. They've come, in big strides, especially after trading away DeMar DeRozan to the Spurs. Losing a key player, him and Kyle Lowry have really come together and just propelled that team again to new heights, and that's what you really need in a team. And I think that that dynamic duo could be a problem for the Bucks, especially since we just lost Malcolm Brogdon indefinitely, so he's out. Paul Gasol is he's out for the rest of the season. He was a nice addition that we had added.
He should be back for the playoffs, though. It sounds like. Paul Gasol.
We're really hoping. Fingers crossed. I don't want to jinx him at all because I'm praying after Brogdon went down. But we have lost a couple key pieces that we had during the regular season, so I think it'll be interesting. But I think if anyone has a shot, it'll either be Boston or definitely Toronto.
If it was a 1 game. If it was a 1 game, not a series, but just 1 game for each round, I think the Bucks could get beat by anybody just because of the 1 game nature of it. However, because it's a 7-game series, I think this team is prime for a 7-game series. The way they're built, I think their depth, and they're not going to get as tired because of their depth. They have in my opinion, the best coach, one of the best coaches in the East, if not the best, this season for sure, and Budenholzer, who I think can game plan for a 7-game series. So I don't see anybody. I would say Philadelphia is a team that I could see possibly getting in their way just because of how much talent they have and kind of how much power with Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons, how young and how stacked they are. I really think they could be a team. But speaking of coaches, Mike Budenholzer, and speaking of MVPs, I know, D, you have an opinion about the MVP award that you would like to share.
An opinion? I have facts here, sir. Straight facts. First off, Giannis Antetokounmpo, I don't care what you say, what person you're a fan of, is going to win the MVP. The MVP race is no longer about statistics, It slightly is, but it's not really. It's more of a popularity contest and what has your team done. Now, if you look at the MVP race, every year it should be LeBron. There should be no question. He is the most valuable player in the NBA. He is the best player, therefore he is the most valuable player. Now, if you're just looking at seasons, which they do for the MVP race, Giannis is having a better season than James Harden. Yes, James Harden is scoring more points per game. He's averaging, what, 36.5 points per game, shooting actually 43.8, not 61, according to Jeremiah. I don't know where he got those stats from, but that was completely wrong, so you shouldn't listen to that. He's shooting 43.8%, but this man is taking so many shots to get all those points. It's like, listen, if Giannis just sat back and shot the ball all day long, he'd be doing the exact same thing. Giannis is averaging 27.9 points per game, shooting 57.7%. He's shooting way better than Harden, averaging less, but he's taking less shots, and his team, mind you, has the best record in the NBA right now. That is what Giannis is doing for his team. So most valuable player, Giannis, all day long.
The Bucks have 9 more wins than the Houston Rockets. Like you said, the Bucks are doing better. Just by the nature of the NBA, I think that James Harden is going to win the MVP award. Not that he should, but I think he will. I agree with you, and I think that Giannis should. But I think James Harden, by the stats he's put up this year, by the records he's set, and how just the NBA writers just feel about stars, because the NBA is all about stars. And I get Giannis is a star, but right now I think James Harden is just a little more of that star power with the stats he has put up. So I think Harden will win. I agree that Giannis should. Eric, do you have a MVP pick?
I'd probably have to give it to Giannis too. I mean, given it's the record. We gave Derrick Rose an MVP when the Bulls had the best record.
That's true.
So I mean, they kind of do value that, and now that the Bucks are kind of getting back into relevancy, I think they'll reward him for that.
I think a key stat that they look for in MVP race, and I mean, again, it's a popularity contest because it would be LeBron every year. You got to look at jersey sales now in the MVP race. Who's selling the most jerseys? Who's done the most in the community? It's not just the things you've done on the court; it's things you've done off the court as well.
That's true.
And I think Giannis he's done more in the community than James Harden has.
Oh, yeah.
I feel that Giannis has led his team
to the best
record in the NBA. And, I mean, Houston's only 4th. So, I mean, it's like when Kobe was playing, when he was having, 80-point games. He didn't win MVP because what was his team doing? He was scoring all these points, getting all these buckets, but he didn't win MVP because he wasn't doing enough for his team to get his team further. Giannis has done that. Giannis is my MVP by far. If you have a problem with it, fight me.
All right, so speaking of LeBron James, it's time to move in some buy or sell. And the first topic I have is LeBron James will never make the playoffs again. Eric, buy or sell?
That's a sell. Maybe not for a while, because the Lakers had to do something. Maybe if they do get Anthony Davis, they gotta get something to help him, because he can't do it all himself. He can do it himself for sure, but if he's not, he needs someone to help him at least.
They're 9 games out of the playoffs this year, just so you know.
And LeBron is done for the year.
This is true, but I mean, you got to look at LeBron's first year, in the NBA. He took the Cavs, who had no one besides, Anderson Varejao, who is trash. He took them to the playoffs and to the finals. Now, he didn't win, because the NBA proves that you can't just rely on one player, to win a championship. You have to have a team. But I believe, LeBron will definitely be back to the playoffs. How far he goes in the playoffs is another thing. No, I don't think the Lakers will go very far, and I think it'll be a very long time.
But you think he'll get there?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Definitely gets there, though.
Sticking with basketball, we mentioned this a little bit earlier. Michigan State, after beating Duke, wins it all. Buy or sell?
I'm buying that. Oh, man, I'm buying Michigan State all day. Duke's big thing, and one thing that they really relied on all year was Zion Williamson.
Yeah.
Zion just being this freak athlete, being this complete freak of nature. And let's be real here. Zion, he'll be a force in the NBA, definitely when he's matured. But until he matures, he's not going to be anything. Zion's played for so many years because he's the bigger guy. In a lot of the games that you see him play and you look at his highlights, Zion Williamson is the bigger man. So he's always had his way with other players, because no one's that big. This guy is huge, but then you get him into the NBA, and
I agree.
He's 6'7", whatnot. Yep. Okay, you've got guys who are taller than that who are going to body him. He's been getting through by just bodying people. All right, well now you're with grown men. You think he's gonna body DeMarcus Cousins?
Right.
You think he's gonna come in there and body Anthony Davis? No.
People have been saying he's the next LeBron. I don't see it. I don't see it.
I don't either. I don't think he's this freak athlete. I think he has the potential to mature into something, but I think right now he's not going to make that stride.
Buy or sell quick, Eric?
Buy.
Buy. Michigan State going to win the national championship. All right, so we'll take a quick break. We're coming back next with some rants, so stick around. But first, let's take a look at those other shows that we produce here at WMCM.
The University of Wisconsin-La Crosse brings you a weekly student newscast. Important news. Movie critiques. Weather forecasts, sports highlights, and local interviews. UWL's own WMCM, run by the students, for the students. Every Thursday at 4:30 on Campus Channel 200 and Charter Channel 989.
Are you a movie fanatic? Tune in on WMCM TV's Screening Room, Tuesdays at 2:45 or 4:30. You can watch on Channel 200 and Charter 989. See you on Tuesdays for Screening Room.
All right, so we're going to start with our rants now, and I've got a rant for you. First rant, the Badgers. My God, Badger men's basketball, pick it up. This has been the most embarrassing season that I've watched the Badgers play since probably last year, which was just as embarrassing. This is the second year in a row now that we have been embarrassed in our men's basketball program, and I just don't understand it. Football, all right, you guys had a bad year, we'll give you a pass. Basketball, this is the second year in a row, you're looking suspect right now, you need to pick it up. I mean, we're coming back with the same little plays, the same things. We're not playing to our own players' strengths, We leaned on Ethan Happ for most of the year, and the guy just can't do it. He's a great player. Now, don't get me wrong, but listen, we did him real dirty by sending ourselves to the NCAA tournament. We should have been in the NIT. Badger men's basketball, you ruined Ethan Happ's, last game out in the first round. Pick it up, people, please.
All right, and my rant for the day going to be talking about the Milwaukee Brewers quickly. It's not so much of a rant, just an opinion that this year for the Milwaukee Brewers, the lineup is going to need to carry most of the load for this team. It is clear that with the injuries to the bullpen, with Corey Knebel and Jeremy Jeffress, especially Knebel being out for the year, Jeffress out for about the first month, the lineup is stacked this year, and they need to carry more of the weight this season. And with guys like Yelich, Kane, Braun, Shaw, Grandal, I mean, this lineup, Moustakas, this lineup is completely stacked like an all-star lineup. So they need to carry their weight this year. Last year they didn't, and they relied a lot on the pitching. They can't this year.
And my rant is also base-related. With balls and strikes and missed calls, this has been a problem in baseball for quite a bit of years. They've talked about discussing maybe bringing robot umps or automatic to call it. This past weekend with the Cubs team, I've seen it in playoffs where they don't get called and then something bad happens. Now it is opening weekend, but come September, October, playoff time, World Series, Game 7, this should do or die for a team, and it would it put a lot of pressure for them to know you're gonna have to start swinging some balls that you shouldn't. You're gonna be giving teams outs that you shouldn't have to be relying on. And, to make or break the team when it matters most.
So there you have it, our rants for the day. And I hope you guys have a good rest of your Tuesday afternoon. It is sunny out there, which is good, right?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Fresh off an April Fool's, so.
Did you get April Fooled?
I didn't. I expected it to actually snow yesterday. I expect, to have all this great weather, and then all of a sudden it was going to snow. So, I mean, I'm happy it didn't snow.
Yes.
I'm still a little worried about Wisconsin weather myself. I just don't think the winter's over.
We got
yet.
a snowstorm like 2 weeks into April last year. I just don't want
I
that again.
We had snow in May, so I'm not taking any bets on it being warm.
Sounds good. Well, thanks so much for watching here this afternoon at Sports Talk Live. For D. Reed, Eric Elfson, I'm Hunter Baumgart. Thanks for watching.